Hey, my favorite mathematicians. Today we're going to be working on volume of rectangular prisms, and we're going to look at using a flat piece of paper to determine volume of a three-dimensional rectangular prism. So grab yourself some colored pencils and the worksheet that I sent home with you, and come on in and join me for calculating volume by counting the cubes on a two-dimensional shape. Okay, so you remember in class on Tuesday, we looked at building boxes out of 36 cubes and all the different ways that we could build a box by not having any overlaps, not having any gaps, but having a closed rectangular prism. So now we're going to look at what that looks like on a two-dimensional paper. So now instead of having that third dimension and having the cubes in front of you holding onto them, we're going to take those third dimensions and flatten them out onto a two-dimensional page. So this takes spatial reasoning. Spatial reasoning is able to look at a flat shape and be able to, in your mind, turn it around so that you can see it as a box. So here's our first shape. I strongly suggest to do this activity, you use colors, because this is going to help us to picture this as a three dimensions inside our mind. So if we're finding the volume of a rectangular prism, and remember, a rectangular prism has six faces, one on the top, one on the bottom, two on the front and the back, and two on the sides. So it has six faces, and those six faces are all in the shape of rectangles. So when you look at this shape, we're going to try to take it apart. And there's two ways you can look at it. You can look at it as two layers stacked on top of each other, like books on a table, or you can look at it like stacks or loaf of bread with slices next to each other. So we're going to look at them both ways. You're just going to have to see in your mind which way you see it. And I'll show you which way I typically see it. So this first shape here, I see two books stacked on top of each other, so two layers. So I'm going to take that top layer off, and I'm going to shade that in so that those top cubes are all orange. Okay. Now you remember when we have these cubes, these top faces here are actually the top of these cubes. So we're not going to count them separate. They're just part of this. So in this shape itself, I see a 1, 2, 3, 4 cubes across, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cubes back. So it's 4 cubes across, 5 cubes going back. So if it's a 4 by 5 layer, this layer itself has 20 cubes on it. That has 20 cubes to make just one layer. And then below it, I have another layer the exact same size. That's 4 by 5. And the orange layer is just sitting on top of it. So if I have a 20 layer and another 20, 20 plus 20 is 40. So the volume of this shape is 40. 40 cubic units. All right, let's look at the next one here. Again, I see two books stacked on top of each other. So I'm going to take off that top layer and shade it in so that I can see it in my mind and take it apart in my mind. This one I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cubes across, and I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cubes back. So this layer is made up of 25 cubes altogether. And since there's two layers on top of each other, I see 25 and 25, which is 50. The volume of this rectangular prism is 50 cubic units. So they look very similar, but this volume is larger because it has another layer. Okay? Let's look at this one, the other, in a vertical direction, and look at it in the terms of like sliced bread. So this one, instead of seeing two books sitting on top of each other, I'm going to see layers stacked this way. So first I see this layer. There's one. Then I see another layer sitting beside it, just like a loaf of bread with the stack of bread beside it. There's a third layer. And I'm going to cycle back around to the green. So I'm going to count this layer first, the one I can see the best. I see 1, 2 tall, and then 1, 2, 3 going back. So this slice of bread or layer is made up of 6 cubes. And since there are 1, 2, 3, 4 layers of 6, I'm going to do 6 times 4, which is 24 cubic units. This one is made up of 24 cubic units. So you can see the difference. This one is 2 layers stacked on top of each other, and this layer is 4 layers slipped together side by side. All right, let's look at another one. Take a look at this layer. This layer, I'm going to look at it like my stack of books again. So I'm going to take off that top layer first. And once you find that top layer, that's basically all you're going to need because all the layers have the same amount of cubes since it's a rectangular prism. So there's that one layer. Let's see how many cubes make up that top layer. 1, 2, 3, 4 across, and 1, 2, 3, 4 going back. Remember, this corner cube right here, I need to count that for my this way and also this way because it's going to be that corner piece. So this top layer is a 4 by 4 square. That would mean that layer has 16 cubic units. Well, if that's the case, I just need to know how many layers there are. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers. So 16 times 5 layers would be the volume. 16 times 5. Well, 5 times 10 is 50, and 5 times 6 is 30. So the volume of this rectangular prism would be 80 cubic units. Okay. Now you're going to notice on this side of the paper it has D, W, H, and V. The D stands for depth. And depth is how deep something is, correct? So if you're looking for the depth of an object, this one is our first example. They used 5. Here's our first example. So the depth is how far back the rectangular prism goes back on the page. The next one is W. The W stands for width, how wide the shape is. So as you can see, this goes back 5, that's the depth. How wide it is, it's 4 across. And then the H stands for height. How many layers high is it? And this one is 2 high. So that's where the 5, the 4, and the 2 come from. This is the depth, this is the width, and the H stands for height, which is how many layers high it is. And then when you multiply all of these, which we did the 5 times 4 to get 20, there's my 5 times 4 to get 20, and that's how many layers there were. And then we multiplied it by 2 for those 2 layers to get 40. I'm not worried about this side as much. If you would like to put the dimensions in, you can, but I would just like you to finish doing these cubes and splitting up the layers so that you physically practice seeing this as a third-dimensional shape and working on your spatial reasoning. So if you'd like to color all the layers, you can, or if you would like to just color one layer so that you can see the difference between them. Right? Let's do one more together. Let's do this number 4. This time, I'm going to do it with the bread again. So I'm going to take this shape, and I'm going to take a vertical layer, which is up and down. I'm just going to peel off this layer right there. I'm going to peel off that layer. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4. So the height is 4. The depth is 1, 2, 3 going back. And then the only other one I need, if I've got 4 high and 3 this way, this layer right here has 12 cubic units in it because it's a 3 by 4 rectangle. Then I just need to know how many slices or how many layers there are. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in order to find the volume, I'm going to do 12 times 5. 12 times 5 is 60. That's a basic fact. Okay. One more. Here's our number 5. This one is a third dimension. So I'm going to take off that top layer. There we go. We have to figure out how many cubes make one layer. So I'm going to go across 1, 2, 3, 3 across, And we got to figure out how far back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 by 5. So this top layer is made up of 15 cubic units, and I can see there are 1, 2, 3 layers of 15. So 15 times 3. 10 times 3 is 30, and then 5 times 3 is 15. Put them together, and I have 45 cubic units. Okay, so I want you to pause the video and continue doing the next 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Finish that page, and then unpause the video, and I'm going to show you the answers to those to see if you're getting them correct. And then I want you to finish at the end, finish the back of that worksheet with your shapes, and finish those, and bring them back to class with you when I see you on Monday. And we're going to take a look at those and use them to help build a formula for finding the volume of rectangular prisms. So pause this video, and then after you finish number 6, 7, 8, and 9, come on back and see how you did. Okay, so here we go. Let's see how we did on number 6, 7, 8, and 9. Here are my next 4. You can see for number 6, I found the top layer to be a 5 by 5, so that was 25 cubic units, and there were 4 layers, so 25 times 4 is 100. 100 cubic units. Number 7, the top layer was a 3 by 3, so I doubled that. 9 times 2 is 18. Number 8, the top layer was a 4 by 2, so there were 8 cubic units for that top layer, and then there are 4 layers, so that makes 32 cubic units. And last but not least, the top layer was another 2 by 4, same as this one. The only difference was it was only 3 layers high. So instead of 32 for 8 times 4, this one was 8 times 3, which made 24 cubic units. Okay, so now it's all your turn. I want you to turn it over and try the back side and complete the volume sheet on the back by yourself and bring it back for me on Monday and show me how you do.